This video is discussing across the line or laid off at the top of the swing. So I had a member question basically asking if being laid off at the top of the swing is okay, and I thought that that'd be a good opportunity to just discuss how what's important with the top of the swing. You know, why would it be bad to be, you know, possibly really across the line like this, or why would it be bad to be really laid off like that? So in this video we're going to relate what's going on at the top of the swing to what we need to do in the downswing. One simple way that I try to work in the top of the swing is by going through rewind from delivery. So basically, this is roughly where we're trying to get to in the downswing, where the shaft is close to parallel to my body instead of, perpendicular to my spine instead of parallel to my spine, where it's basically parallel to the target, kind of like this. Well, if I am across the line at the top of the swing, and if I brought myself back to basically a setup position with my body, you can see that the shaft is very vertical. If I was to go to the top of the swing and get really laid off, and I brought it up back to where the top of the swing or the setup would be, you can see that's very horizontal. So one way to think about the top of the backswing is more laid off is pre-shallowed, and a more across the line position requires more shallowing. So if I'm going to be steep and across the line, so if my arms are very vertical, then I really have to have the temperament that I'm going to have a lot of waiting and a lot of patience as the club shallows during this phase here before applying speed down at the bottom. Where if it's already pre-shallowed, I may be okay going at it a little bit harder earlier. So matching where I am at the top of the swing with the timing of how I'm going to create speed is not a bad way to look at it. The other way to look at it is if I tend to struggle with more of a steep in transition, kind of either face control or driver issues, then I may be better working on trying to get a little bit pre-shallowed because I'm having a hard time balancing the amount of shallows at the top. Conversely, if I'm more laid off at the top and I may be looking to get a little bit more distance, I may be looking to possibly improve some wedge play. There are other reasons why I might want to get steeper, but what I want you to start thinking of is there's no arbitrary, just perfect top of the backswing position. It really relates to what's going on in the downswing. So if you think backward based on where you are in the downswing and how it relates to the top, it'll give you a better idea as far as what to change. One other quick point is where the club is at the top also depends on how much my body has turned. So if I have the club in this position here and I stop it like a 3/4 look, this might appear like it's laid off. If I kept pivoting and side bending and went to the top of the swing from here, well, there you might see that it's closer to on plane. So that's another reason why you might want to not just arbitrarily chase some perfect top of the backswing position, because the length of the swing, you know, how you're creating speed, all play a role. But if I could simplify it into one classic rule, if it's across the line, you have to shallow it a lot more. If it's laid off, you have to shallow it less. And you can use that to your advantage if you're trying to control certain contact misses, like if you're struggling with lots of fat and thin shots, toe and heel, or if you're struggling with path control on the downswing. So if you tend to get the path going really shallow or rightward late, kind of more like this, you might do better getting a little bit more laid off at the top. If you tend to get really steep and across, you may actually do better having a little bit more shallow during the downswing, so you could vary the top of the backswing position to help make shallowing a little bit easier for you. But be sure to relate the top of the swing to transition and where you are in the downswing. Don't just chase an arbitrary, perfect top of the backswing feel. Okay, so now I'm going to try and demonstrate a few of these. The easier one for me, if I exaggerate this shallowness or laid off position at the top of the swing, then I can just swing a little bit harder with my arms straight away. It's not the worst position for me to play from. for me, the across the line is a little bit harder because I have a tendency to get too shallow late. So if I get really across the line, kind of like that, let me just dial in a few of those feels. So if I get really across the line, like I said, it's harder for me to make contact from there. I'll see if I can wait a little bit longer on this next one. I was a little bit early. I could feel myself resisting and pulling a bit too much on that. So let me get across the line again. There we go. So you can see if you have the tempo and the timing to wait for it, across the line's not bad because it can give you a little extra speed. If you are erring more on I'm going to pull on it quicker, then you might do better trying to get a little bit flatter. But always relate what you're doing at the top of the swing to delivery position.